Hello, my name is Ananda Ishaya, and I'm here with a dear friend called Madhurassa. She is a monk also of this teaching, the Ishaya Ascension, and we are glad to share with you this topic called alertness. Is called alertness, Madhurassa, or awareness? I always get confused.
Well, to be alert and to be aware, they're very similar, but alert has a little more energy to it as a word. If you're alert, your eyes are open and you're listening and you're paying attention. And aware just seems softer, like you're sitting back and just looking out at the world. So they're the same, but have a different flavor.
Got it. I understand perfectly. That's why I like talking to you because you are a writer and you explain things very well. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, well, let's begin with the topic for you. For you, what is alertness? What is awareness?
Well, I could give you an example of alertness. I got in the habit of just mulling over what I was working on with writing while I was driving, or just daydreaming while I was driving. And there's nothing that makes you more alert than almost causing an accident. Boom, your eyes are open, you're right there and you're going, "Oh, thank you, God." Because you realize that, well, for me, I would realize that my mind was anywhere but what I was doing. And I'll tell you, when I really understood what it meant to be alert was when my husband and I started riding scooters.
Suitors?
Not little ones,
What is suitors?
scooter,
Scooters. I got it.
a
I got it.
moped, yeah.
I got it. I got it. Yes.
But they were big ones, like 400 cc's.
Oh,
One, the teacher, you have to be careful and watch because people don't see motorcycles and all of the stuff to be careful about. And boy, when you're riding a scooter or a motorcycle on a curvy road or a lot of traffic, you can't think about something else. You can't look at the scenery. You've got to pay exact attention, especially on the scooter or motorcycle, in order to be safe. And that experience, a couple of experiences where I just barely saved myself, that gave me a totally different awareness of what paying attention and being attentive means. You know, a lot of us, myself included, we think we're paying attention, like to a speaker, for instance, and we're actually wondering what we're going to fix for dinner or what our vacation plans are going to be. It's the brain just wants to do what the brain does.
yes. And for me, alert to be alert or to become like this aware is the analogy of teacher of mid high school in high school. Okay, tell me, Madurasa, what happened in a high school where the teacher said to the classmates, um, please behave. I'm going to go with the principal for 5 minutes. Behave. Just behave. Be calm. I'll be back in 5 minutes. What happened, Madurasa, when this teacher go out?
They all got crazy.
Exactly, exactly. And I remember when I was in secundaria, in mid school, it was like that. It was crazy, crazy, crazy. In this analogy, the teacher is the alertness, and the students are the thoughts. When, when the teacher arrives, again, the classmates go like this, quiet and put attention. So for me, this analogy is to explain people what for me is this is just bring back your inner teacher, your inner high school teacher in order to put in silence all those thoughts. For me, that analogy work.
Well, let me tell you, dear, your high school was different from mine because, you know, students, and when I taught in a high school for a brief period of time, students don't pay attention even if you're up there in front of them. But as an analogy, um, focusing on the teacher and being really paying attention is where, if our thoughts are really turned to the teacher, as you said, we experience things differently.
Totally. And in the teacher, if the teacher is a good teacher and is a person that give a good class, of course, the teachers, the students will pay attention, of course. And
Well, and how about us adults? When we find a teacher, like we have found our Ascension teacher, Maharishi, we don't chit chat in his class because we want to learn what he has. So we are attentive and alert because every word is important.
that's correct. That's correct. Um, let's go inside meditation because we can talk about alertness and awareness in the work or in another topic, but talking about awareness inside meditation, I want to talk about that. For you, what is to be alert when you are ascending? We call it ascending. In case you don't know what is ascending, is go beyond the limited mind. That's the meaning of ascension. And is a lot of people know it as meditation, but we call it ascension. Is go beyond the limited mind through a higher consciousness. So that's what we do when we ascend. And for you, what is to be alert when you are ascending, Madhurassa?
Well, I go right down to the simplest form, what one of my teachers said when I first learned to ascend: watch your thoughts. Now, that's not, I mean, most of us don't pay any attention to our thoughts because that's just the voice we've had in our heads for as long as we've been alive, you know. And so asking, just saying, close your eyes and pay attention, you know, it can be hard. Count your thoughts. How many thoughts did you see? Well, that's a really great exercise because you are being aware of what the mind is doing without making it important. You're just watching. And then the other thing with that is students often, anybody looking to find a meditation practice, often have the mistaken notion that the goal of meditation is to still all thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they feel like, well, I'm doing it wrong. I can't do this. But you know, the goal is to be attentive, see what's happening. You might have a little bit of of silence, or you feel like you've reached a place where you're quieter, and then a thought comes, all that is a reminder to go back to that stillness. A thought, there's nothing wrong with a thought. In fact, you can look at it as, you can look at the thought as a teacher if you don't identify with it. The thought comes and you go, oh, and then you go back into the stillness.
Got it. Yes, I don't know who is going to watch this video because I'm going to upload it to my YouTube channel, and in the YouTube channel there are a lot of persons that I don't know they are experiencing meditation. Maybe they don't know nothing about meditation, but for me it's very similar. The experience is very similar. It's just to watch the thoughts. And for me, the ascension techniques help me a lot to watch the thoughts, because if I have this analogy, and this is not my analogy, is from a long time ago. It's from India. In India, they think that we have a monkey inside of us that
Oh,
is jumping from the past and the future, and very crazy monkey inside of our heads, no? And if we give to this monkey uh, a banana, so this monkey will settle down, get still, more quiet. For me, combining the ascension attitudes, the techniques, with observing the mind is the perfect combination, because the techniques is like the banana for this crazy mind that can calm down the monkey, and then I can observe the thoughts, can observe everything. So for me is the perfect combination, and I have been doing this since like around 12 years ago, and for me now is more easy. At the beginning, Madhurassa, it was not easy. How was at the beginning when you learned to ascend? It was difficult?
yeah, I made it difficult because I tried so hard to do it right.
Mm.
And I first learned in 1998. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been at it for a long time.
A long time.
And, you know, Maharishi, our teacher, and Manu, another teacher, has said it can always be easier. Let it be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's where, like what I was saying before, if a thought comes back, instead of thinking you've done something wrong, you just notice it and let it go. Let it be easy. And the phrase that you mentioned, the phrases that we learn when we first take the weekend course for Ascension meditation, they are not just any old phrase, not any old banana that you give the monkey, but the best, it's a phrase that actually helps bring you down into the quiet spot. And then, of course, the mind goes out, and then you give that monkey another banana. And so it took me a long time to stop trying so hard. And I'm amazed at the ease, no effort at all.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a miracle.
That's right. And recently you sent me a WhatsApp that is amazing. When you write down that, I said to myself, this is a wonderful quote. And the quote was, the less I try, the easiest it gets, or something like that. Please
Yeah.
correct me
The
if
less I try, the easier it gets.
that's right.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And you know something, simplicity is beautiful. simple is better. Simple is the most wonderful thing. When I was studying in my last month of the mastery of the self, I remember my teacher says, este, keep it simple, keep it simple, because I was trying to make it very complex.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
keep it simple. So that that phrase always remind me that simple is important. To keep it simple is important.
yeah. And going about our daily life, we can practice alertness and awareness. As in our daily life, most of the time there's so many people that think multitasking is a great thing. Do
Mhm.
one thing and then do the other kind of at the same time and let your mind think of two things at once, sort of. Um, well, first of all, it doesn't really work. The mind can only think of one thing at a time. But our attention, we jump from one thing to the other, partly because of devices. And we can practice being aware just by deciding, okay, I'm going to pay attention to what I'm doing right now, whether you're writing, washing the dishes, driving the car, talking to someone. You can, that helps you develop the capacity to really pay attention to the thing that's right in front of you at the moment. And that's really what we do when we meditate. We pay attention to what is right in front of us at the moment. And it's great when you can do that in life and in meditation and let them kind of help each other to so that you pay more attention.
In the morning today, I decide to check my cellular phone in the beginning. Instead of ascending, I check my cellular phone. So in my cellular phone, I check that I have some errands to do, some tasks to do, some is the things to do, and suddenly my head was like, oh my God, I'm in a problem. I became feeling anxious because I began my day with my left foot. I begin my day trying to fix the world and and think and think and think and think. So
Yes.
I stop and then I remember, okay, what is really, really important from all these things and my practice, my spiritual practice, my yoga, what is more important? I'm 47 and I have been experimenting a lot since a long time ago. So I find out that if I put my priority in all these things to do before doing this thing that is my peace first and then the rest, my day will be awful. So I stop and then I reset and then I did yoga. I did like 15 sun salutations. Then
Wow.
then I go to my favorite is this chair for meditating and I ascend for 40 minutes. After that, I have a breakfast, I talk to my wife, and I start doing all the things to do, but in this awareness, in this presence, in this peace. So at 1:30, I did the same again. I stop
Yeah.
everything, I start ascending for another 30 minutes, and then I continue doing all the things to do. But it's amazing. You can be alert, you can be very, very attentive to everything you are doing in every part of your day. But if you put as a priority your peace must be the priority. Is my experience. I don't know if it's your experience, but you must decide in one part of your life what is going to be your priority. So tell me about that, the priorities in life.
Well, for me, again, it would be peace. And I also start out the day with meditation because, and other times during the day too, because when you have started with that, it's like you have clarity about how to do the tasks. You know, there are so many things that we're asked to do in the world and in our lives, but the meditation helps us know what to do and when to do it, because we're kind of tuned into the universe that supports us. And I think, well, I'm going to cough again. Sorry.
Don't worry. You can cough. You can go for water if you want water.
You know what? I'm going to go get a cough drop. I shall be right back.
Don't worry. Just go. And I can eat my camote. I have camote here.
We've been talking about how alertness and awareness, when we close our eyes and practice whatever the meditation practice is for you and me, it's Ascension meditation. We become aware of what God or the universe or whatever you think is the highest power for you, we become aware of how that is a benevolent power that offers us so much. And then when we're aware of our life, looking outward, doing our chores and whatever, we can all of a sudden see this is what God's offering to us here. You know, we become aware that life, that there's a flow to life that we can see and kind of join if we have taught ourselves to be attentive by doing the meditation practice. It really does change our perception of life.
Totally. Let me give you an example. As a matter of fact, I sent an email to our teacher telling him this. Um, I bought, I bought, bought, buy, I buy, I bought a pair of sneakers in Lima, Peru, and I have them for like 6 months. They are almost brand new, well take care, and they are good sneakers. And then my kid, my son that is 21, start using them because the other pair of tennis shoes that he has are not very good. So he started using my tennis shoes. So at the beginning, I was upset. So I decided to start practicing the alertness. And something happened. And from that alertness, I decide to just give it to him and say, okay, let's surrender. He's a teenager. I can use the other shoes that I have. Let's give it to him, no? I surrender. And that surrender was easy from the alertness. From the alertness is very easy
Yes.
to surrender. So like 2 days after that, my wife and me went to a mall in Vallarta where I live, and we go to a tennis shoes place, and she says, "Hey, I want to buy you a new pair of sneakers as a advanced Christmas gift. Do you want a new pair?" And I said, "Yes." As a matter of fact, I need it because Matthias is using mine. Okay, okay, choose them. And I choose these ones. It's amazing. They are
Ooh,
more pretty than the ones that I
yeah,
have. So the message from for me in this experience is, in order to to receive the gifts of God, I have to let go the old ones.
yes. Well, and that's, boy, that's true with our old thoughts of how we think people are and how we see the world is, what we believe about politics. But this really helped me with Thanksgiving. So in America, we celebrate Thanksgiving, and three of my four kids were there. And what I was able to do on at a level that was much higher than before is actually pay attention when they are speaking. Often we don't do that with the people that we say we love. And so by actually listening, paying attention, there was an exchange, you know, those kids felt listened to, they felt heard. Then we could have some fun together. And we had quite a few people for Thanksgiving, and everything just moved along so beautifully. And I think it had partly to do with the fact that I was paying attention and really listening to people when they talk to me. And, you think, well, don't we all do that? Well, this was on a higher level, and I think it changed the energy and and so the kind of paying attention that we do when we are meditating, that's I was paying attention to the people in my life. So it's a skill, actually. It's a way of living.
And similar to you, when I really I'm alert, and I just do my spiritual practice, that is ascension. When I do that, I can just observe this commenting, observe this judgment, observe this complaining, and when I observe it, it disappears. So instead of putting attention of this for this commenter or judger or complainer or controller, instead of putting my attention in those things, in those voices, I just, it's like the analogy with the teacher. I bring back the teacher, and the students go like, okay, okay. They get still, and then I can put all my attention to my wife, to my kid, to the
Yes,
guests, to my
yes.
clients, etc. And this is another way of listening. This is a
Oh,
completely new way of listening.
it is. And your point about not giving energy to the commentator, the complainer, the judger, the doer. I have to say, I grew up in a dysfunctional family. And it took me until I was maybe in my 30s before I realized not every thought that pops into my mind is true. I mean, I or the other one, not every thought that pops into your mind needs to be said.
Okay.
And so I believed all of the patterns about what was good, what was bad, what was right, what was wrong, how things should be. Those were just learned patterns from family and the culture. And I didn't realize that they weren't true. They were just a way that people had put the world together so that they could make sense out of it. And so when I finally figured out, uh, just because it's in my mind doesn't mean it's true. And meditation helped with that too, because if you can observe, like we've been talking about, you can see that thought crossing your mind. You can look at it and go, And I don't know where I put my glasses. I don't know if you saw Manu do this. Okay, so I've got my glasses on, and he would take his glasses and hold them in front and say, you know, your thoughts are like these glasses, and they just pass in front of you. Then another thought comes, and if you don't pay attention, it just passes through. The problem is the thought comes and we put it on and we wear it like it's the absolute truth. And but that's a great thing that you learn from meditating, is to be aware of your thought patterns and be able to say, well, is that really true? Is that really important?
That's right.
People in the relationships, love and peace and support, those are more important than, I know this might sound shocking, but it's more important than beliefs, than positions, habits, you know?
And something, I think you agree. I think you will agree. When we start ascending, we are changing a habit, and the habit is to think, to make stories in our minds, to put our attention in our stories, to put the attention in our thoughts, etc., etc., etc. So we're changing this habit to this new habit of just resting,
Yes.
observing, and enjoying life. Enjoying life. So this new habit, for me in my experience, take time, because it's a habit that I used to have for decades of thinking, making stories, listening to my voices, and not only listening, doing doing what these voices ask me to do. I
Yeah.
I was a slave of these voices for decades. So when a teacher, a meditation teacher teach me to observe the mind and do nothing with the thoughts, I said to myself, no, no, why? Why? Because I have been doing everything these voices ask me to do. So
Yes.
at the beginning, I was 25 years old when I start ascending. At the beginning, I didn't like it. I was too young, so I decided to quit. and I
Mm.
and I quit for 10 years. I just stopped ascending. And in those 10 years, I experienced the ego. I experienced the
Mhm.
consequences of listening to all these voices in my head and doing all the things these voices ask me to do. So after suffering so many years, at 36 years old, I said to myself, I think it's enough. Enough is enough.
Yeah,
So
right.
I think everybody in this world have this same experience. The experience is experience the ego, uh, paying the consequences of the ego, and then decide one day, okay, this is enough. Yes, it's enough. Okay, I'm going to start learning from a teacher, from a guide that teach me how to observe the mind instead of grab the thoughts and doing the
Yes, yes.
stories and suffering the consequences. So this experience I think is similar to you.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. And people who do research, neuroscientists into how the brain works, the brain's job is just to crank this stuff out. It's always looking for differences, looking for how it can create a narrative or a story. And, you'll start meditating and the brain will still be doing that. And but then you look at it a different way instead of thinking, oh, I hear that voice in my head and it sounds like my voice, telling me how awful this relationship is and how difficult things are at work and but it's there can be some basis in truth for those things. But then there's the story that the brain concocts around it. That's its job. And it's interesting to get to a point where you realize that part of the brain that figures things out can sure help when I'm doing my taxes,
Hmm.
but it isn't necessarily helpful when it tosses something out that I used to grab onto and then causes me to feel upset or unhappy about things.
Yes, yes. And let's talk about the miracles that happen when you decide to just let instead of the habit of grabbing the thoughts and suffering the consequences of this monkey mind. Instead of that, when you start ascending, what are the miracles that have happened since then? Because I'm sure you have experienced a lot of miracles. So share with me one of these miracles.
Okay. Well, we talked earlier about how I was the world's biggest doer and efforter and trier and made things hard. Well, many years ago, I lived in Green Valley, Arizona, and my husband had Parkinson's. So we were really involved in the Parkinson's support group. And I got going a fundraiser. What was a silent auction, and part of what we had to do was go out and find people that would donate something to go into the silent auction. And there were lots of other things that had to be done. We needed people to step up. What I found, and I was tired, oh my goodness, I just had worn myself out. And then when a thought would come, and it's not the same thought as the one that goes galloping across your mind and try to distract you. When this thought came from the quiet place that said, call so and so, I would call and they'd always be there and answer. And they would always say yes, they'd be glad to do what I asked them to do. And what I learned from that particular year, getting that silent auction set up, was that if I just paid attention, I would be shown who to call, what to ask for. Just pay attention, and then also be willing to let other people do their jobs without me thinking, oh, it should be done this way, that would be better. Allow people to take part and to serve.
It's the same for me. The problems I have experienced is because I want to control something. And when you are alert, when you go to this space of stillness, you open your eyes and you are not anymore the controller. You are just the observer of this wonderful creation and and witness all these magical and miracles that happen. For me, have been a lot of um, it's easy for me to be a parent, a father of this son of 20 years old that lives in our house. It's easy for me to be a husband, 25 years married with Gabby. It's more easy for me to 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 do all these roles from this awareness. Because in the past I was the controller, and the controller, I know he wants to control, and so I control. Finally I control my son, and I can guide him exactly the way I want to be, and behave, etc. So I control my kid, and then something else start going bad, and then my mind go crazy, and another thing to control, and I go that way. And I try to control that thing, and then another thing to control, and it was the never ending story, never ending
Yes,
story. So when I learn to observe and to be alert and just watch, that was a relief. It's a another life. I think since I start ascending, it's another Ananda. O sea, I'm experiencing another life. Inside the same life, I'm experiencing another life. It's quite
yes.
tricky, but it's like that for me.
Well, I want to share a quote. I just happened to look up this poet named Mary Oliver who has written about attention. And oh goodness, where did my oh because this is what we've just been talking about. Instructions for living a life. Pay attention, be astonished, and tell about it.
Mm,
And that's what we've been doing. We're learning how to really pay attention to what life is bringing to us, to pay attention to the people around us, to to let things go however they are going and serve as we can. And then we could be astonished at what life brings to us.
that's
What
right.
an amazing thing. And then what we've been doing is telling about it. So it's
that that
interesting.
that that's exactly what we are doing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to upload this video to YouTube channel, and someone maybe will hear this. So we're sharing this astonishing,
Yes.
this praise of life. This is amazing. To praise instead of complaining, instead of judgment. It's amazing.
Yes. And then to let people know life can be easier.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be so difficult, trying so much. And you and I have done the ascension and are doing the ascension meditation. And one really learns after experiencing it for a while to let go you can see that it can be easier. And that's such a great thing for people to realize.
That's right. Let me finish the Zoom with sharing the website of the Bright Path. So everybody that wants to learn this meditation technique, just go and type thebrightpath.com, and then you can find a course right here, so you can see which are the courses that is going to be in the next week. By example, here in Mexico, we have it in Ensenada in November 27 to November 30, etc. So you can go to this website and look around. A final thought, Madhurassa, tell us what are the last message you want to share with the YouTube followers.
Oh boy, just that my heart is so full of gratitude for this practice. And if anything I have said inspires any one of you to learn how to ascend, I can tell you that it will be one of the most amazing things you will ever do. And certainly with Ananda's support, and he will be teaching, I mean, the whole new world can open up. And that's what I would hope for you.
You are amazing, Madhurassa. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you
Uh,
for being my confidant. Thank you for sharing a lot of insights, a lot of teachings with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is going to be the first of so many podcast that we're going to do together and with another teachers. I'm sure we will get together again.
and thank you very much, dear. Love you. Glad to have been here.
Thank you very much and see you next time.